Mike was a 16-year-old student who attended Westbrook High School, a place where something strange seemed to happen every single day. Unlike most students, Mike did not try to become popular, famous, or even interesting. Somehow, life did that for him automatically. Every time he walked through the school doors, a new disaster seemed to be waiting around the corner. One Monday morning, Mike woke up late after accidentally setting 10 alarms and sleeping through every single one of them. He jumped out of bed, grabbed the first clothes he could find, brushed his teeth in less than 10 seconds, and sprinted toward school. Halfway there, he noticed something unusual. One of his shoes was black and the other was bright red. He stared at them for a moment and sighed. "Well," he said to himself, "at least they are both shoes." When he arrived at school, his best friend Jake immediately pointed at his feet and started laughing so hard that he nearly dropped his backpack. Within 20 minutes, half the school had somehow heard about Mike's colorful fashion choice. During first period history class, the teacher asked everyone to give a short presentation about a historical figure. Mike had completely forgotten about the assignment. While other students confidently discussed presidents, inventors, and explorers, Mike desperately searched the internet under his desk. Finally, his turn arrived. He stood up, walked to the front of the classroom, and began talking about a famous explorer whose name he could barely pronounce. Everything was going surprisingly well until he accidentally opened the wrong browser tab on the projector. Instead of historical facts, the screen displayed dozens of pictures of cats wearing sunglasses. The class exploded with laughter. Mike looked at the screen, paused for a moment, and said, "And these cats were very important to world history." Even the teacher could not stop smiling. Later that day, Mike headed to the cafeteria. The lunch line was unusually long and everyone was impatient. While waiting, Mike attempted to balance his tray on one finger just to entertain Jake. For 3 glorious seconds, it worked perfectly. Then the tray spun like a helicopter blade and launched a bread roll across the room. The roll bounced off a chair, hit a backpack, and somehow landed directly inside an empty cup. The entire cafeteria erupted into applause. A student stood up and shouted, "Do it again!" Mike raised both hands like a magician who had just completed his greatest trick. The following week, things became even stranger. The science teacher announced a classroom experiment involving harmless chemical reactions. Students were instructed to carefully mix specific ingredients. Mike listened attentively for approximately 12 seconds before becoming distracted by a fly on the window. When he finally returned his attention to the experiment, he accidentally grabbed the wrong container. The result was not dangerous, but it was spectacular. A giant mountain of foam erupted from the beaker and slowly crawled across the desk like a living creature. Students screamed dramatically and jumped out of their seats while recording videos with their phones. Mike attempted to stop the foam with paper towels, but every towel only seemed to make it spread farther. By the time the teacher managed to clean everything, the entire classroom smelled like bubble gum and victory. The video received thousands of views online after someone uploaded it with the title, "Student Accidentally Creates Alien Life Form." A few days later, Mike joined the school soccer team. Unfortunately, athletic talent was not among his many accidental abilities. During his first practice, he ran in the wrong direction, passed the ball to the opposing team, tripped over a water bottle, and somehow scored a goal anyway because the ball bounced off 3 different players before rolling into the net. Nobody understood exactly what happened. Even the coach stood silently for several seconds before finally saying, "I have never seen anything like that in my life." Mike proudly celebrated as if he had planned every second of it. At home, things were not much calmer. One evening, his mother asked him to help prepare dinner. Mike agreed enthusiastically, despite having almost no cooking experience. His first task was slicing vegetables. 5 minutes later, he had somehow created pieces of every imaginable shape except the correct one. Then he accidentally dropped a carrot, slipped while trying to catch it, and spun in a complete circle before grabbing the kitchen counter for balance. His younger sister laughed so hard she nearly fell off her chair. When dinner was finally ready, everyone agreed that it looked strange but surprisingly tasted amazing. Mike immediately declared himself a professional chef. His family disagreed. Back at school, the annual talent show was approaching. Jake convinced Mike to participate even though neither of them possessed any obvious talents. After several terrible ideas involving juggling, dancing, and magic tricks, they decided to perform a comedy routine based entirely on embarrassing events from Mike's life. During rehearsals, everything went perfectly. During the actual performance, everything went wrong. The microphone stopped working, one of the stage lights flickered unexpectedly, and Jake forgot half his lines. However, these mistakes somehow made the act even funnier. The audience laughed continuously for 10 minutes. When the winners were announced, Mike and Jake unexpectedly finished in second place. Mike was shocked. "We literally forgot the routine," he whispered. "Apparently that was the funny part," Jake replied. One winter morning, the school principal announced a surprise inspection from important district officials. Teachers immediately became nervous and instructed students to behave perfectly. Mike sincerely intended to follow every rule. Unfortunately, fate had different plans. During mathematics class, he accidentally knocked over his pencil case. Pens, pencils, markers, erasers, and mysterious objects rolled across the floor in every direction. While trying to collect them, he bumped into a desk, causing a notebook avalanche involving 3 rows of students. One district official happened to walk past the classroom window at exactly that moment. Mike froze like a statue while surrounded by flying school supplies. The official stared silently before continuing down the hallway. Later that day, the principal jokingly informed Mike that he had become part of the inspection report. Nobody was allowed to see the report, but rumors suggested it contained the phrase, "unexpected classroom excitement." Spring eventually arrived, bringing warmer weather and new opportunities for disaster. During a school field trip to a local museum, students were instructed not to touch any exhibits. Mike promised he would be careful. For nearly 2 hours, he successfully followed every rule. Then he leaned slightly too close to a display while reading a description. His backpack caught on a nearby bench, causing him to spin around unexpectedly. Nothing broke, nobody got hurt, but the motion activated an interactive exhibit featuring loud dinosaur sounds. The sudden roar echoed through the entire museum. Several visitors jumped in surprise. One small child pointed at Mike and shouted, "The dinosaur escaped!" For the remainder of the trip, students referred to him as the dinosaur trainer. The nickname survived for months. As the school year continued, Mike developed a reputation unlike anyone else's. Teachers knew him, students knew him, even people from neighboring schools occasionally recognized him because of viral videos or ridiculous stories. Yet despite constant embarrassment, Mike remained cheerful. Whenever something went wrong, he laughed first. Whenever people teased him, he responded with a joke. Somehow this attitude made everyone like him even more. One afternoon, his English teacher assigned students to write stories about memorable experiences. While others struggled to find ideas, Mike faced the opposite problem. He had too many. After several minutes of thinking, he filled page after page describing only a single month of his life. The teacher later wrote a note at the bottom of his paper. It said, "I am still not sure whether these events actually happened." Mike framed the note and hung it above his desk at home. Near the end of the year, Westbrook High organized a massive school carnival. There were games, competitions, food stands, and live entertainment. Mike volunteered to help run a ring toss booth. His job seemed simple. Give rings to players, collect tickets, smile politely. Unfortunately, simplicity rarely survived contact with Mike. During the first hour, he accidentally demonstrated the game so successfully that every ring landed perfectly on the bottles. Players demanded the same results. During the second hour, a strong gust of wind carried several tickets across the carnival grounds. Mike chased them for nearly 10 minutes while children cheered as though watching a sporting event. During the third hour, someone challenged him to participate in a pie-eating contest. Against all expectations, he won. Nobody understood how. Mike himself appeared surprised by the outcome. By sunset, he had somehow become one of the carnival's main attractions. The principal later joked that next year they should charge admission just to watch Mike exist. On the final day of school, students gathered in the auditorium for awards and announcements. Academic achievements were recognized. Athletic accomplishments were celebrated. Community service awards were distributed. Then the principal stepped onto the stage holding a small certificate. "This award," he announced, trying not to laugh, "is entirely unofficial." Students immediately became interested. For providing endless entertainment, unforgettable stories, accidental comedy, and more school memories than anyone thought possible, we proudly present the first annual Most Memorable Student Award. The entire auditorium erupted with applause as Mike walked to the stage. He accepted the certificate, bowed dramatically, and nearly tripped over a chair on the way back to his seat. The audience laughed louder than ever. Looking around at his friends, teachers, and classmates, Mike realized something important. None of the embarrassing moments actually mattered. What mattered were the memories, the laughter, and the people who shared those moments with him. As everyone left the auditorium, Jake slapped him on the shoulder and grinned. "Think next year will be less crazy?" he asked. Mike looked toward the sky, where a bird immediately dropped a leaf directly onto his head. He removed the leaf, smiled, and replied, "Not a chance.